Hey fellow writers, in order to properly introduce our topic for today, I am going to have to tell you a little bit about my business, Innovative Editing. That actually might be worth your while, particularly if you are already published and you're looking to promote your book, because Innovative Editing has a program called Author of the Month. Now, Author of the Month, it involves me doing an interview, an e-interview, with an author to promote one particular book. This author can be self-published or traditionally published. It does not matter. And it also doesn't matter if they're one of my editing clients, someone who submitted their work specifically for the Author of the Month spot, or someone I just stumbled onto. Either way, you're up for consideration. Now, what makes an Author of the Month consideration into an Author of the Month actual spot is it comes down to two conditions, really. That's number one, that I read and enjoyed the book in question, and number two, that I feel comfortable promoting it to my diversely aged genuine writer e-letter followers. The sign-up link for that, incidentally, is down in the description below. It's a great free e-letter that really strives to educate and encourage writers across the board to make their goals, their writing goals, not only happen, but happen in a way that they can be proud of. And that's a big deal in the writing industry. But back to the Author of the Month program specifically. What does it take for me to enjoy a book and actually want to promote it in Innovative Editing in the Genuine Writer e-letter? That would be believable characters, an engaging plot, dialogue that does not make me want to edit it to pieces, which unfortunately is not all that common, and a well-developed setting that doesn't detract from the other elements. Do you know what doesn't automatically disqualify a book from an Innovative Editing Author of the Month spot? Believe it or not, that would be typos. Now, obviously, typos are not an awesome addition to a story. Duh, obviously. But they're not the worst thing in the world either. When I am reading a book for enjoyment's sake, I honestly don't care if there's a typo per page. It's not even so bad if maybe there's, 2 typos I'm not going to say per page, but 2 typos on a page. There are worse things in life. With that said, if you're a writer with any intention of actually publishing your work, your goal should be to have as few typos as possible. So, with that goal in mind, here are some common typos I found in especially self-published potential Author of the Month books. Number 1, the paragraphs are not properly broken up. Okay, yes, this isn't really a typo, but it still doesn't lend to a professionally published feel. Back in the old days of publishing, when the dinosaurs were still roaming the earth and writers were etching their stories in stone, long paragraphs were perfectly fine. Long paragraphs meant that there was more room per page to work with, so it was actually a good thing. That isn't so much of a problem now, though, the whole space issue. In fact, thanks to online reading, people's eyes and brains are much more used to digesting smaller paragraphs, to the point where anything over 6 lines long is going to start looking a bit bulky. To avoid that unattractive appearance for today's day and age, look for spots where a new character starts talking, where a different topic is introduced, or where something specific needs to be emphasized. Those all make for good spots to add in a paragraph break, maybe even 2. Number 2, words are oddly hyphenated. Don't ask me why we self-published authors will hyphenate random words together. I couldn't tell you. But I've seen it while editing my own stories, and I've seen it plenty of other times in other stories I've read. It's a cautionary tale, to be sure. When polishing your manuscript one last time before hitting the publish button, keep an eye out specifically for hyphens. And when you find one, ask yourself, do those words actually belong together like that? If not, take the hyphen out and move on. Now, number 3 is that there are random words thrown into sentences. Random words thrown into sentences. Speaking of words that don't belong, such as the whole hyphen thing, here's another thing we self-published authors tend to do. Because we have final reign over our manuscripts, we have a bad habit of fixing sentences that don't necessarily need to be fixed just because we're stressing out over last edit details. Too often we only end up adding in words that don't need to be added or forgetting to delete words that need to be deleted in the process. We'll put in a sentence or we'll revise a sentence, and then we won't reread the sentence to make sure that the new sentence actually makes sense. Regardless, our revisions take our manuscripts back a step or two in the editorial process, not forward. Obviously, then, you want to always reread a sentence if you're going to make a last-minute edit. Incidentally, all of that can also happen with traditionally published books. I can't talk today. I apologize. So yes, these mistakes, all three of them, I have seen them in traditionally published books, including, or maybe especially, smaller publishers' products. I have seen significant typos outside of the indie author circle as well, so really take it as a cautionary tale regardless of what publishing route you're going to take. Because while typos may or may not bother your readers, if you're anything like me, they're going to drive you absolutely bonkers as the writer when you catch them in your own books. All right, I hope that helps you guys out, and I will see you next Monday. Have a good one. Bye, guys.